This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and I am your host, Mark. And today's guest reminds me that sometimes I need to shift my focus. Welcome the multi-talented Harry Ostrem to the podcast. I met Harry through a project I started 2 years ago, but I'll explain that in a minute. Harry is a bassist, actor, singer, songwriter, comedian, writer, and more. This guy is crazy talented. But he grew up about as far away from show business as possible in a small town of 20 in rural Montana. Yes, I know that's redundant, but it's true. In 5th grade, he was the only person in 5th grade. But he escaped the wilds of Montana for the bright lights of Spokane, Washington, and Gonzaga University. He didn't go directly into the entertainment industry from college either. Instead, he was a social worker. And this is where things change. Literally. Somehow, my phone connected to the Bluetooth in my car, and Harry ended up having a nice conversation with my son instead of me. But once we recover, we get into Harry Muff's disco. How he almost got divorced, collecting props for a music video for one of his songs, and his connection to my project. You'll learn more about that in the episode, but it's a Spinal Tap tribute album for the Who's Teen Cancer America charity. I'll be releasing more info about it as we inch closer to the release date of the Spinal Tap sequel and the album itself. In the meantime, go to harryostrem.com or Harry Muff's Disco on YouTube to check out Harry's music and comedy. Follow us at Performance ANX on social media, support us at ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety and performanceanx.threadless.com. And keep watching our accounts and Teen Cancer Americas for updates on the Spinal Tap tribute album project. Now enjoy Harry Ostrem on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Hello, this is the Performance Anxiety Podcast with Mark Shea. Hold on. You are, yeah. I don't know how to do this. The hardest part. Yeah, it's not you have been listening. I'm trying here. Hi, this is the Performance Anxiety Podcast with Mark Shea. I am Harry Ostrem of Harry Muff's Disco. Check out my music on Spotify, Harry Muff's Disco, and on my website for acting and music at harryostrem, OSTREM.com.
Hey.
Hey, man. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. It's like 2 minutes before, and I was like, oh, I should probably put a light on. Does it look okay?
Yeah, it's only audio, so no worries.
Oh, it's only audio. Well, but for you, Mark, I want you to, is there shadow?
Well,
now that you look.
I'm noticing things. Oh, there we go. That's, maybe the closer you get, the better it looks. Awesome. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you in person. Kinda.
Good to meet you as well, Mark. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, man, it's my pleasure. I've been enjoying everything that I've seen and heard. So this will be fun.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
And what I normally do is do tons and tons of research and try to listen to old interviews and dig up some things. In this case, I kind of decided just to go with what you sent me and just kind of let things happen, because I don't get a whole lot of comedically based people on the podcast. So I'm usually trying to get funny stories. So I figured, let's just see what happens with this one.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Awesome.
So what are you, Mark? What are you drinking right now? I have the last bit of my what is this? Like a Syrah little wine, but I also have hydration.
Oh, nice. Well, that's.
So I'm gonna pinch it here with Gatorade and wine.
I like it. I would normally have a glass about this big of bourbon. However, I gave it up for Lent, so it's sweet tea.
Oh my! Are we recording right now? Because we can jump right in. Because saying Lent like that, yeah. So I tried to give up what view. I never know what view to do. What view? I just want to see you. I don't need to see me, or do I?
My ego.
I ain't
complaining either way.
There we go. Yeah. So I tried to give up beer for Lent, and I've had 6 beers.
I give alcohol. So I wasn't even specific. So I just gave
That's
it up
awesome.
as a whole genre. I don't know.
Yeah.
Genre of drinks.
It's funny. I was in the store. I was getting some last minute groceries yesterday, or maybe it was 2 days ago. And a woman in front of me told the teller that she gave up candy for Lent. And she goes, oh, I can't stop. I'm dreaming about candy. I can't stop thinking about candy. And she was just really anxious about it. And I was like, I think the whole point of Lent is to make room for new, healthier patterns in your life.
That's definitely part of it. Yeah.
And she's like, I thought it was about suffering. And then as I'm walking out to the car, I'm like, because it hits you later, and I'm walking out of the car, I'm like, is she comparing the suffering she's having from candy to Christ's suffering?
It sounds like
that seems a little. So yeah, you're right. I mean, for 40 days, no candy, no candy, Jesus.
no M&Ms. That
is classic. I'm not trying to be mean to her, but it was really fun. It was really funny. And I told my wife later, and she's like, wait, she's comparing candy to Christ suffering on the cross.
I hear that's what the devil tempted Christ with when he brought him up to the rooftop instead of.
Yeah, it was actually hot tamales and Mike and Ike's, if you remember those. Maybe some Jolly Joes, which I don't even think exist anymore.
I don't. Yeah, I've never heard of Jolly Joes.
You haven't?
No,
Google
Mike and
that.
Ike's. Yeah, I didn't mind Mike and Ike's. I'm one of the few people I know that like black licorice. I don't love it, but I'll eat it. And
sure.
Everybody I know hates it. So I don't know. My wife can stand it.
That's more for you.
I know, but that makes my gut look like, I don't know. I'm trying to make some Mike and Ike reference to a gut, and I'm coming up really blank right now.
No, the metabolism changes. You hit 30. To me, it was 33, and everything changed. And now I can't really eat bread. Can't really, that's why the beer.
Yeah, it was my mid 30s for me, and I'm 50 now, so it's just. I'm trying to. It's harder.
I thought you were 25.
Well, thank you, man. No, I'm double 25. But yeah, so I actually within my view, I've got half a decanter of Buffalo Trace. I've got half a bottle of Black Rebel Motorcycle Club's motor oil bourbon, and
that's amazing.
An almost entirely full bottle of port. And
wow. So is it hard to look at that and as you're doing these interviews?
It's funny. You might think so, but it's not that bad. I do want a drink, but I've said this in some other episodes, but I mean, because it makes me sound like an alcoholic, and I'm pretty sure I'm not, because I haven't really cheated much. The only time I actually cheated during Lent was my wife went to go visit her sister and brought home some moonshine, and we had to do a little moonshine tasting. So
I don't think that's cheating.
I think you kind of have to, because it was a gift.
Yes.
Although she gave up alcohol too, and she's the one that bought it and brought it home. So she's probably going to hell. But me,
absolutely, because that's what's important. If that's what God wants to do, is to put. God wants to send us to hell. That's the whole point of it all. So
that's why,
just like that lady with the candy.
Boom. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had 5 beers. Like the traffic yesterday I told you about. I went 5 miles. So I commute to work on the Pacific Coast Highway. Beautiful drive. You cut through Las Virgenes Canyon. You get to Malibu. You head south towards Santa Monica. You would think under normal circumstances that is just a phenomenal commute to have.
Yeah.
But we had a mudslide, and that route was cut off. It took me 2,500 feet up into the Santa Monica Mountains on a bunch of back one-way roads. It took me an hour and 50 minutes to go 16 miles to get to work. To come home, I went 5 miles in 2 hours.
That's insane.
Because all the traffic on the PCH side moved to the 405 and the 101 and all the normal freeways. So I stopped in and I got a burger and a salad, and I had a beer. Nice. So I broke Lent yesterday. I was like, I can't. I'm losing. I was in the car. I had to pee. I went to a church to urinate. It was locked. Only in LA our church is locked.
Wow.
Because they probably just don't want homeless people sleeping in their pews, which again, that might be hypocritical too. Like, shouldn't you open the doors? But anyway, regardless, I was like, I'm going to a bar, I'm having a burger, and I'm having a beer. So,
hey, I don't think you're in trouble.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think you're good.
Okay.
I think that's an acceptable exception.
It would have been more rock and roll had I gotten a 6-pack and drank in the car and peed out the window at the same time. Then maybe, though, I would be going to hell.
Maybe. Or jail.
Yeah, LA jails, I think, might be hell.
But you've written a song specifically for that purpose, so which we'll get to in a little later. But
Good. You've done research. Good.
Yes. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Before you skip over this ad, give me 1 minute. Like most podcasts, I pick sponsors carefully, and I use the products that advertise here. Pure Spectrum CBD is a product that has been really beneficial for me. They have a wide variety of great products that can be used on a daily or as needed basis. I've been using the tincture every day, and it's been wonderful for easing anxiety. And I absolutely love the isolate. I use it instead of acetaminophen or ibuprofen, and it's worked so well for the relief of aches and pains. They also have soaks, lotions, salves, gummies, and more, plus an entire line for fitness recovery. They even have products for your pets. See everything they offer at purespectrumcbd.com. And if you have questions, they're there to help. They helped me when I had no idea where to start. After you fill your cart, use code PerformanceANX for 15% off your purchase. Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD. So, obviously, comedy is a big thing for you. And while I'm vamping here, I forgot to pull up my notes. So I will do that while we're chatting. You're also a very talented musician and a possible NBA participant. So I wanted to find out from you, what came first for you? I mean, there's acting, comedy, music, sports. What was your first draw? What was your first love out of those?
I mean, so I think growing up in small town Montana, pretty hilarious. It's some of the backstory. I won't go there because it's too convoluted with serious stuff in terms of my parents and
much like your drive home yesterday.
Yes, much like that. But I ended up, my dad owned, he sold it in 2009, a farm. So I grew up in a town of roughly 15, 20 people in north central Montana.
15 or 20, not 1,500 to that, 15 or 20.
Yes.
And how many of those were your family?
Yeah, people love that joke. Luckily for me, it was my stepdad's farm. So there's no weird blood / I'm dating my cousins. None of that happened.
I didn't even mean that. I was kind of like thinking.
No, I mean, I'm ready to Dukes are up. I mean, Montana, as soon as you mention Montana and a farm, there's going to be some sheep thrown out there. There's just a lot of things.
Hey, I lived in Alabama for 10 years. I understand.
Okay. Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Best education system, right?
Of course, I also lived in
best public schools.
I also lived in New Jersey for 13. So. Got
it. Wow, look at you. You're hitting all the geographical
all the stereotypes. Yeah. Pretty
no, Mark.
I haven't been to California yet though, so that's one stereotype I can't claim.
Well, you're breaking Lent when you come out here. So yeah, it was a crazy way to grow up. I mean, probably the coolest part about being the only kid in your 5th grade class is there's absolutely no competition. Driving 25 miles for the first day of 6th grade, being skinny, having an overbite, being the only kid that didn't want to play on the football team, it was rough. The first 2 years of junior high, like for many of us, right, were just god awful, which I think has helped me in my the teaching career that I've also done on top of everything else. But yeah, I mean, the cool thing about a small town is you can do everything. So I was on the basketball team. I sucked ass in high school. I don't know where you got the NBA information. I was decent for like 5 years in college. Okay. But I was never near being college eligible.
That's not what your video said.
I mean, there's a lot of lies out there, right? And yeah.
I thought you could believe all that stuff, everything on the internet. Somebody told me that's all true.
Yeah, what's the Spinal Tap reference? I believe virtually everything I read, which I believe makes me a more selective human.
Man, that was an excellent pull.
Love it. We got to tie it back to Spinal Tap.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I did everything growing up. Like, I fell into love with my best friend's brother played bass. He played guitar. They were a very talented music family. My mom's a piano teacher. I did the typical, no, mom, don't need piano, going to make it in the NBA when I was in 6th grade. And it wasn't until I came to music my own way, kind of through my friends. I started playing in 8th grade, quit for like about a year because I just couldn't do it. I was like, I don't know how this works. So then I went to a junior high dance, a band played, and I was like, fuck it, man, I want to try again. So nice. I picked up the bass again, and all you need to do is just start jamming on some Creedence and you can figure out some songs pretty quick.
Oh, that's excellent. You said there were points you were the only person in your grade?
Yeah, I mean, I dominated. I mean, athletically.
You were like valedictorian and salutatorian.
The women were swooning from counties beyond. It was incredible. No, yeah, 1 year.
Prom was a little weird, but
Prom was weird. I just, maybe that's where I fell in love with myself and still can't let go of my ego. Yeah, 5th grade though. That was the year. I was the only kid in my class.
That's insane.
Yeah. So Galata Elementary, which still exists, it was two rooms. There was the little room and the big room. Let's see, 3rd, 4th, and 5th was the big room. And then like 1st, 2nd, I don't know. It's been a while. That was the 80s. Yeah. But yeah. And then, once I got to junior high and high school, the weird thing about growing up in the middle of nowhere, it's shocking to me looking back because I work with kids. I'm teaching some English at Pacific Palisades High School right now. And what shocks me is that despite being 44 and despite like so much of what's going on today with social media didn't exist when we were kids. Yeah. And yet kids are just kids, man. And high school and junior high growing up, I'm more shocked at how much is similar than dissimilar.
Oh, really?
I think I just think people forget that like we're all just humans, and you just react to the time and place that you're in. But there's the awkwardness of junior high. There's the cockiness of being a young adult where you think you know everything. I mean, all that stuff stays the same.
That's where my kids are right now.
Okay. What are the ages? What are the ages?
19, 20, and 21.
Damn. So we're talking like World War I era right now, 1920 and 21.
Yeah, they're in the World War I era. That's kind of what the house gets like when they're all together too.
See so I'm glad you haven't done the thing, Mark, that I hate when I talk to people that have older kids. I'm like, man, it's really tough right now. They're like, oh, wait till you get when they're older, baby. And I'm like, dude, the first 2 years that Josie was around, we didn't sleep. For 2 years, I would walk her from 8 at night, 7 at night to roughly 3, 4 in the morning, on and off the entire night for a year and a half. She wouldn't sleep. So I'm like, yeah, I know it's going to get hard with their egos and them thinking that they know way more than mom and dad, but at least I can fucking sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Well, at least I can like sleep.
The way I kind of look at that is when I meet somebody with young children, everybody's already said all the stupid jokes. So I just I'm not. No, if you want to know how it was like for me, which most people don't, I'll tell you. But, what I do want to say is that I love your daughter's name because that is also my oldest daughter's name.
Oh,
so I have my 21-year-old is also a Josie.
That is amazing. There's a little Josie for her.
Okay, hold on a second. I'll show you I got pictures right over here.
Yes, so do it.
I'm going to leave all this in the podcast too. The dead air.
You should. This is the good that leave the dead air. Or should I just talk? Let's see here.
I can hear
what should I? Oh, you can hear me. Damn it! I was going to make plans. I love the mirror the mirror in the back.
My wife
with the. Oh, dude, that's great. That's so good.
I'll give you the dime tour here for.
Please do.
So this used to be Josie's bedroom until she moved out, and now
no way.
It's my podcast room.
Oh, dude, that's great. Nice setup. I wish I could just do it right there in the podcast. Oh, nice.
So
Awesome.
I don't even know if my mic is picking all this up, but it's hearing you for sure because you're hardwired in.
You sound great over here. I don't know if that means anything, but you sound great on my end.
So this is my Josie.
Oh.
This is my namesake, Mark the Third.
Awesome.
And my youngest, who is now at Penn State, Maggie.
Awesome. Nice.
Then,
how far away is Penn State from where, like, is that?
It's like
a ways.
2.5, 3 hours.
Oh, that's perfect. That's about as far as I was from my folks.
Yeah, it's not that bad at all. Then there's the unofficial children. There's my dog, Hammond.
Hammond. Where's B3?
He did. No, he was actually named after one of the presenters from Top Gear.
Oh.
Richard Hammond.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
So, and then this is my daughter's dog, Albert, so now unintentionally, we have two dogs named Albert Hammond. Totally accidental. All right. So you're going. So I don't even know where the hell we were. We
were talking about growing up in a small town. I mean, when you grow up, so my graduating class in high school, junior high and high school, was about 54 students. There's obvious downfalls, right? You're not going to have as rich curriculum in school. You're not going to have as many worldly experiences, museums, all the cool stuff that living in cities can do. The cool thing is you can do everything. So I was in jazz band, concert band, choir, student body president, basketball team. I didn't play any basketball. In fact, I often thought about grabbing my bass and just riffing with the pep band while in my short ass late 80s, early 90s. Shelby Coyote basketball shorts. Oh, dude, you have no idea. Like, I wish I'd wear them now. I'd just be like, and it'd be cool, right? Because I could just be like Flea, like, oh, that guy's got style. But back then it was not cool.
Yeah. No, I remember everything had to be like knee length or longer.
Yeah, we were in that era, or Montana, I don't know. It always feels like it's about 15 years behind the times. The shorts we were wearing in the early, even like the mid 90s, were still of the 80s and the 70s and 80s, which for me, as a fan of that era, was perfect. But I'm sure in Detroit, they were already wearing Fab Five long shorts, but we were still wearing Larry Birds. We were wearing Kevin McHale shorts. Yeah. That's what we were wearing.
So how did you get into acting? I get your comedy. Which one came first? Because we've kind of nailed down music a little bit, but what about the rest of stuff?
Yeah, it all kind of, I don't know, life's weird, right? Like, I largely, at this point in my life, probably more than halfway through, I've had no plan. I've kind of been, I've reacted through my unique lens of life. I've always loved the 70s. I just always did. Even as a kid, I was in the 70s basketball, and everyone else liked Jordan. I liked Dr. J. I just love that era. But I love getting good grades. So I found a lot of self-esteem through performing well academically. So that was my focus, but I had no real goals. So I went to Gonzaga University, and I was just really focused on getting good grades. I didn't learn how to have a good time until I joined a cover band after my first girlfriend broke up with me and I graduated.
Oh, wow.
Then I started to drink and play in bars. I basically did 2 cover gigs a week for 2 years from the ages of 22 to 24, 25. So nice. That's where I developed a lot of my chops. But I always played. I was in jazz band and I was in tons of other bands in college. And I always wanted to do comedy. I think I was always scared. I knew I could be funny in certain moments, but kind of scared to take the stand-up route. I have dabbled, but way later in life. Like, I was doing stand-up right when my wife told me she was pregnant. It was right before COVID. I started to go out just I was like, I've never done this. I'm scared to do it. Therefore I should do it. And I started to do. Yeah. So, and I still want to do stand-up, but it's like 4th, 5th on the list. I would say music and acting are here. That both tied for number 1 right now. And then I also dabble, I'm like everybody and their grandmother. I'm writing a screenplay, and I like to write sketch comedy. I've got some stuff up on YouTube. So yeah, like comedy, I moved to LA in 2005. My friend.
Oh, hold on, man. I don't know if it's on my end or your end. You're back.
I think that was God saying, Harry, you're talking too much.
Well, this is a podcast about you.
You're right. This is a podcast about me. God, my wife would be cringing right now, but I'm excited. They're at Panera right now. We're good.
Oh, nice.
We're good to go. They're at Panera.
Broccoli cheddar soup in a bread bowl.
In a bread bowl. I always take the chips. I should take the apple. Don't do it.
No.
Never do it.
I don't know. Apples. Unless I get them fresh, I don't trust apples. I've heard horror stories.
Yeah, you gotta get them fresh. You have to get them fresh.
Yes.
You have to.
So,
so like I moved down here. I moved to LA area in 2005.
What brought you to LA from Montana?
I graduated from high school in Shelby, town of like 3,000. I graduated there in 98, went to college at Gonzaga University in Spokane, Washington.
Okay.
And I was there for the 4 years, and then I stayed for 3. I did AmeriCorps, which is kind of like, I call it, like domestic Peace Corps. I ran mentoring programs, and then I was just playing, I was gigging every weekend. So I didn't like graduate college and go, I want to make it in entertainment. And I did social work. I worked in a residential facility with kids that were getting out of juvie. Wow. I worked some I worked some really tough jobs, and I was gigging on the weekend, but that kind of ran its course. Like the cover band was playing every weekend. We had played every place you could play. We did an album. It's god awful. I actually like the record because it's so shitty. And
your volume died again. Your volume's gone. I can't hear you. Yeah, volume's dead. I don't know what's going on.
Are you like the court reporter? Are you copying? Here, hold on. Let me tell your dad. Yeah, it's going to the Bluetooth in the car. I was just talking to your son. Again, God saying stop talking.
Are you serious? That's what happened?
Yeah, I just talked to your son. He's a nice lad.
Oh, you know what? That wouldn't surprise me right now. He's probably moving the car.
Yeah. No, I just talked to him. I literally just talked to him. So he just heard me say a bunch of this has to say in the podcast.
Oh, of course. This.
I can't wait to listen back to this.
I'm not going to have to edit anything. I'm just going to release this thing.
As soon as I get going, something happens, which I think is just like God kind of pointing at me and laughing. Yeah, just having some fun.
So it's I'm not the only one then. That's good.
Yeah. Where was I? I was
talking about how you got from Gonzaga down to LA.
Yeah. I mean, everything in Spokane, it's a small city, like there's only so many shitty cover bars you can play. And I wanted more. I just wanted more. I didn't know what I wanted. Everyone's like, dude, you're a phenomenal bass player. And I got like all the hot chicks would talk to the lead singer, and all the old guys that used to play in bands would talk to me. Right. That was my role in the band. Really sucked. Like, I used to be a roadie for April Wine. You're a good bass player. So,
I was hoping you were gonna say Orleans, because I've actually got.
Dude, I love Orleans.
I'm having this singer on the podcast in a few weeks, and they're playing like 5 miles down the road from me.
Dance with me.
Yes.
I want to be your partner. Can't you see?
Yeah, I got to do some research on that dude.
The guitar player, songwriter of Orleans was in Congress. If I'm not mistaken, at some point he was House of Reps from New York State. I'm almost positive.
Wow.
On this, actually.
Well, that's not the dude I'm talking to.
No, but I know a lot of random shit. If you ever need like 70s, 80s pop rock music referencing, you can text me now. You have my phone number. And I used to read liner notes in bed for fun. Like, a lot of ladies were not in my life.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that got me into photography is album art, cover art. So that's what I went to college for, was photography. So.
Oh, that's great. Awesome.
I just shot King's X on Saturday. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I wish I could get paid for that kind of stuff. And it's just something I do for free.
Oh, so you're basically, that's my music career. You just summed up.
I knew we would get along. I just knew it.
Yeah. I felt that connection over email. Wait, so did you get to talk to Doug a bunch?
Just for a little bit. I've had Jerry on the podcast. He was episode 5, and I'm about to hit. I'm getting close to episode 400. So
I was hoping the B400. I thought they'd be kind of like,
I can hold
push this over the, no, it's got to be out there. I could, yeah. Or just wait till I die and then put it out. It'll be huge.
Okay. You got it. Nothing like fame post-mortem. That's the
my
best
goal.
kind. That's the best kind. But
I want to Picasso this.
Or Van Gogh, any of the, yeah.
Well, I just made that up. I have no idea if Picasso had fame. I think I was actually thinking. Yeah, I think I was thinking Van Gogh. Can you edit that out of the podcast?
No.
Okay, good. I want people to know how ignorant I truly am.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
So if you've ever been to Spokane, Washington, which is it's better now than it was, but at some point you're like, okay, either I just go get a normal job or I try and do something. So I applied to Musicians Institute, got a scholarship. My friend was a screenwriter, and she's like, hey, I'm no romantic connection. She's like, hey, I'm going to LA to do screenwriting. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. So I went to Musicians Institute for a hot second. I hated it. I was there for 2 weeks. I was like, these are all 18-year-olds and I'm 25 and I don't know why I'm here. Yeah. Then I started doing improv at Improv Olympic, which is like a long form improv theater.
I have done some of that myself. I absolutely love
it. It's awesome. Let's do it right now. Okay, everybody, we need a suggestion of a location that will fit on this stage.
Okay. Nobody's answering.
I know. You pulled me right back into improv. I was trying to do a Herald. We would do a whole 30-minute.
Yeah. So we're in space. We're nowhere.
Yeah. We're nowhere. So yeah, it's like 05 and I'm in LA. I don't know. I found the comedy scene in LA a bit stuffy for my taste. And I finally got into a decent band called Neo Relic in 07. And then I just was like, screw it. I'm just going to focus on music. And that was the focus from 07 to 13 was kind of doing music. It led to two great original bands. One called The Shrill, which was kind of like if you took Rush, Mars Volta, and Soundgarden and mixed it up into a ball. That's what we were.
Is this out somewhere that I can hear this?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It wasn't until I told the guys about 2 years ago. I was like, it's stupid that our album's not on Spotify. So I made that happen to show you how fragile rock bands, I mean, any band are. So like we pretty much sold out the Troubadour and our lead singer quit a week later. So
Harry Ostrem on bass guitar. Harry Ostrem.
You're quitting the band?
Yeah, dude, that's why I kind of quit being in bands. I mean, I was in another great band after that, but I just slowly but surely realized the fragility, unless money is coming in, which rock music in the late, during 2005 to 2015, not a lot of money being poured into rock music.
Right.
Unless money's coming in, it's like, it's literally an exercise in insanity trying to keep a band together, even if it's talented. And I always thought the most important thing was talent. And now I think if I was to start a band today, it's do you get along and can you trust each other and are you on the same page? And that's more important than talent by far, if you want to stay together. So,
yeah, for longevity, for sure. Yeah.
That band's called The Shrill. There's a couple Shrills out there, but it's on Spotify. So if you want to check that out, that's
definitely have to check that out because that's amazing.
Yeah, no, and dude, honestly, it was a great fucking band. And I say that only because I was in a lot of shitty bands and I'm fully willing to admit that I was in bad bands. So The Shrill's a great band that never got its due. We had an agent say, you're the best band I've seen in 10 years in LA, but no one knows who the fuck you are. So you got to tour for the next 8 years in concentric circles to even get a little bit of a following. And then maybe you'll get signed. And our lead singer quit the next week. So that was that band. So like when that band ended, dude, I was like, I'm leaving LA. And right around that time, I got a call from my buddy Kevin Kapler, great drummer, who was like, "Hey, Dizzy Reed needs a bass player for a run. Are you interested?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm interested." But I was in a pretty dark place just musically. So I thank Dizzy for keeping me in LA, because I don't think had that happened, I don't think I would have stuck around. Oh. And and it was just cool, like touring with a real rock star, getting to play his original material. Yeah. It was fun. We would play for 5 people one night. Then we opened up for Tesla, and I played in front of 8,000 people playing Sweet Child of Mine on stage. So
that's amazing. Yeah.
And it's funny when that shit happens, because you're like, oh, this is the new normal, and you think it's going to be all the time. I haven't played for a crowd that size since. But I was like, beep, 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 beep. And I was like, don't mess this up. Don't mess this up.
That's exactly what would be going on in my brain too. It's not like oh, this is awesome.
I mean, I knew I had it, but I was like, I've played in front of lots of people, but I looked at it, I was like, it's not only is that 8,000 people, but they're actually looking at me. They're not like at an art fair, like buying some shitty organic jam in the corner.
They're not just wandering around.
Yeah, just wandering around with their kids with cotton candy. They actually were like looking at us.
Yeah, see, that would get into my head, I think. Maybe. I don't know. There was a point at which it would. At this point now, I don't know, because I don't know about you, because like we've discovered we're similar in age. We're only about 6 years apart. So I'm at a point now, I don't give a shit. I don't care if I embarrass the hell out of myself. I'm just going to go and have a good time. So if I'm enjoying myself, that's all that matters. If I screw up that's fine. If I make a fool of myself, fine. As long as I'm having fun, I don't care.
Yeah, I would say that's me 80% of the way. There's that other part of I'm also like, shouldn't I keep my teaching credential? Don't want to be doing too much lewd stuff, which has been hard, which is hard with the comedy. Cause like my Pleasure Dome video, right? Like there's some references in there, but it's comedy. And I typically work with like high school kids, which the stuff that those people watch, it's like my stuff's very, very tame, very tame. Now I'm doing low with Hall and Nose down on mine and a long prayer on the menagerie of sex and moaning. Someone call the doctor for me. So yeah, like I do. Dude, you're right. You're right. We become less self-conscious as we get older, because we just become more comfortable with who we are. And yeah, there's less years on the docket, right? So it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of fun to not be so dramatic. I feel like when you're in your 20s, everything's so important.
Yes. Yes. Well, everything you're doing is so important. Everybody else can go to hell. Yeah. But what you're doing,
because I know what to do, because I'm young and inexperienced.
And I've noticed though that doesn't happen with everybody though, because I do this podcast, but I also listen to a lot of podcasts, because in my day job, I basically sit at a desk and I look at medical instruments all day long. So I've got a lot of time and I don't have to listen to too many people at all. So I can just listen to podcasts and keep my mind active while I'm looking. Yes, that looks like shit. Yes, that's broken. Okay, that doesn't match that. So I can listen to a lot of stuff. And one thing I heard is a Martha Stewart podcast. And I haven't actually heard the podcast. But I guess my point is that not everybody doesn't care so much, because her podcast, not only does she really care about herself, but I don't think she understands what normal people do in any given day. Because I heard a promo for her new episode. This is how she's selling it. This week, I'm talking to my cosmetic dermatologist.
Well, dude, I have one. I have an appointment tomorrow.
Well, that's because you're in LA.
Yeah, gotta look good.
I'm in Virginia. Nobody cares.
Dude, Virginia, that used to be the largest state by landmass.
And that's not even 70s trivia. That's like 1770s trivia.
Yeah, that was a good year. Good year. 1777. Good music. Boss Skaggs was around back then too. Dude, that's crazy. Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, if you become that rich and you're that iconic, You're not normal. My wife and I, dude, we had this conversation last night. We've been going down a rabbit hole of Sean Bean, the actor. You know Sean Bean?
Oh, yeah.
Patriot Games.
Eddard.
Lord of the Rings. I mean, yeah, like everything, right? I love him. He's phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
I love his acting, right?
Yeah.
I read, and I do this thing now because I have my ADHD is worse now because of the internet. So we're watching Sharp, which is that show in the early 90s. And I'm watching it, and then I'm like, oh, well, I want to know more about him. So I start like looking at his Wikipedia page, and he just, I mean, I'm like, the dude's been married 5 times. 5!
Are you serious?
And that doesn't mean he's a bad guy. It just means that's crazy. Like most people, I'm sure a lot of people have been married 5 times, but most people aren't. So like, it's just that whole thing of like, if the world around you is always about you, which it is if you're famous. Yeah. And there's yes people.
Oh. We'll be back. Recording again. I am so sorry. I saw the
Sean Bean.
I saw the warning come up, and I'm usually pretty good about keeping track of time. Once I mean, dude,
we're going on tangents here. I mean, Sean Bean. I mean, we don't need to talk about me. We need to talk about Sean Bean.
So perhaps being married 5 times, perhaps he should give that up for Lent. Or maybe that's why he's married 5 times.
I just hope he's I hope he's well adjusted. It said all this crazy stuff about his life, and at the very end it said, Sean is a Christian and an avid gardener.
Oh.
I was like, well, hello, well, good for you, Sean. Yes, when I'm stressed out over my lead roles in Lord of the Rings, I like to prune my tomato bush.
My azaleas are to die for.
Oh, God, Smithers.
Anytime you can get a Smithers in there, I'm in. So, all right, do you have a tough time with comedy and teaching? I mean, do you ever do something and you're like, man, I shouldn't really put this out, or maybe I shouldn't go there because I want to keep my job, kind of a thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. It's been, when COVID happened, it was kind of obviously such a terrible time for so many people. I don't want to ever downplay that. But for me, I had unemployment rolling in. I shot a national commercial for Little Caesars, which ended up paying about $46,000 down the road.
The saxophone, telephone?
Telesaxophone.
I remember that commercial. I love that commercial.
Introducing Slices and Sticks. 4 slices of pepperoni pizza together with 8 Italian cheese sticks. A combination as unexpected as the Saxa telephone.
Hey, Mom.
New Slices and Sticks.
I've never had anyone say, dude, I love that commercial.
I remember, I saw that and I'm like, I remember that commercial. I thought that was hilarious. The saxophone phone combo thing.
Dude, funny story on that. So I played saxophone in high school really shittily, like really bad. But I know how to hold a saxophone, and you have a neck strap. And I was on set. We were filming for like 4 hours, right? Okay. So you had to flip the saxophone around, swivel the mouthpiece to act as your receiver, and then there was an antenna built in. So it was like flip, turn up. Flip, turn up. Like it was a sequence of things I had to remember and then say my lines. And I couldn't have a neck strap on. So the whole time, because otherwise it would get in the way of the flip.
Yeah.
So all the weight of the alto saxophone was on my thumb. Dude, by the end, it was just bleeding. There's just blood going. So I made a lot of money that day, but I'm like, I fucking earned it, man. Like, yeah, I was bleeding.
Hell, man.
The damn saxophone.
That's right.
Yeah.
You earn it when you draw blood. That's when the real bucks need to come in.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't on the junior high football team, but look at me now, bitches.
That's right. Bam.
So why was I talking about that though? Why was I talking about what's okay to put out there?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was writing a bunch of stuff then. I put together a reel, which got me my theatrical agent. So I was doing a lot of like film production then, but honestly, dude, Kat told me she was pregnant late January of 2020. And then when Josie came in September, there's been very you know how it is, right? Like once you have a child, you really have to, as a creative, if it's not your job, you have to really pick and choose what am I doing? And I just I have filmed no sketch comedy. We did a bunch of stuff when she was pregnant, and there's some of those videos out there. I may shoot a music video this summer for this song about cell phone addiction that I've had done for 2 years, 3 years. And I just haven't released it yet because I have a great video concept.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. And we'll see. Like, I don't know. Like I said, if I'm teaching high school, I'm not too worried. You know, it's like I taught 6th graders this fall and 7th graders. And yeah, there's a cocaine reference in Pleasure Dome music video, but it's so over the top stupid that like, if a parent doesn't realize that is satirical, then yeah, where's the stand-up comics were going through this a couple years ago, right? Like, what can we say and what can we not say? What can we say without offending the world, which is pretty much nothing now.
Exactly.
So I don't know. It's weird. I think we should be much more sensitive to all populations. And yet at the same time, we all need to fucking lighten up, man.
Honestly, I think we need to be less sensitive about everything. Just fucking offend everybody.
I'm glad you said this because to me, everyone deserves mutual respect. Yet the sensitivities of the various categories of what it is to be human creates division. So like, if I'm a white guy from Montana who grew up in a town of 15. If I have all these like identifiers, then I'm the only one. And then it's like me versus the world, as opposed to there's more things that make us similar than dissimilar. And that's what we're getting away from as a culture, is realizing like we are all in this together, even with people you don't like. That's why we need to respect each other, because we are all humans. And I don't think, getting all religious and spiritual here, I don't think God intends us to feel so divided all the time.
Exactly. And, you know, I forgot what I was going to say. I don't know. Oh, there's, you know, when you hear comedy, you can tell when it's mean-spirited, and you can tell when it's just a joke. There's no evil intent or malicious intent behind it. It's very easy to tell if you take the time to actually think about it or actually listen to it. So that's my soapbox.
No, I think that's great. And I know it's hard to talk about these things in our current climate, but I think we need to have more constructive dialogue and open, candid conversation. I know as an educator, like I really have to watch what I say. I'm in kind of a cool gig right now. It's only through June. And I just started 2 weeks ago. But these kids are like, they're holding on. They're holding on to high school, and they're kind of like, I'm kind of helping them like, let's march to graduation. And I can be a little bit more free with them. And to me, like if you're a senior in high school, you're a young adult, you know, like you're going to be out there the next year.
Yeah, if you're not 18, you're pretty close to it.
You're very close. So I don't worry about that so much. It's just, dude, the hardest thing about teaching is when you get a parent email, and I've had this not at this job, at other jobs, the parent email comes in and it's like,
oh no,
20 paragraphs.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh fuck, the next 3 hours of my life are stolen.
Yeah.
Because now I got to craft an email thinking about the parent, the child, administration, legal professionals, and me. And how do I let parents know, okay, this is the curriculum. Like I could have a child be like, hey, Mr. O, you fucking suck. You're a piece of shit. You might want to cut that out. and then the parent sends me an email saying, you really disrespected my son.
Yeah.
And now I have to be, what I want to say is, your son's a dick.
Yeah.
But I can't. No. So I'm going to send you 4 paragraphs. I'm going to attach screenshots of the work that he has or has not done, and make a case that like, I'm working with Jimmy. We're trying to pull him through. I'm available after school for consults. Like, it's so hard, man, because we're literally walking on eggshells all the time.
It sounds like you're half teacher, half lawyer.
You have to be. You have to be now. If you're a public school teacher now, you watch your ass. You have to be, and you create a paper trail on everything.
So doing that, how do you get away with Harry Muff's disco?
I don't. I have a bunch of 6th graders in the Agora Hills area know about Harry Muff's disco, so that's good. First of all, here's one thing about the new generation. They don't know what Muff even means. They think like they don't. It's a 70s, 80s term. Like they don't think about that.
Shit, I'm old.
So the band was I don't even know if I should say this. This is very embarrassing. How many people listen to your podcast?
I like 6 or 7. Most of them family. It's all right. That reminds me. I got one guy. So I don't know if you're familiar with the band Bass Drum of Death.
No, that sounds great though.
It's basically two guys, and the guitarist and singer. I saw them open for Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, and I was like, oh, these guys are really cool. So I reached out, and he was like, yeah, we should do it. And then he kind of wouldn't commit. And I'm like, yeah, cool, you should do it. Okay, yeah. Finally, I said, dude, you are missing out on 5 or 6 people illegally downloading your music if you don't come on this. And he's like, fucking, I'm in. Dude, I am totally in. I'm like, all right. So props to Bass Drum of Death.
That's hilarious. Do you want to know the renditions of my name change as a solo artist?
I would love to hear this. This is the kind of stuff I love.
Do you want me to start at where it initially was and how it got to Harry Muff's Disco? I think we should move backwards. I think we should move from Harry Muff's Disco, Harry, back to what it was.
This podcast is about you, my friend. So
okay.
I'm at your disposal.
So it's Harry Muff's Disco, Harry, then Muff's Disco. Before that, it was Harry Muff's, and a lot of interesting things would pop up online. So I thought, why don't I actually imply music in the title? And it is a funk disco homage, if you will, to the 70s and early, especially early 80s. So then it was Harry Muff's before Harry Muff's Disco. Before that, now, this never happened. My first thought was, no, so then going back, it was going to maybe be, this is so bad, Harry Pussy. It was maybe going to be that.
Sounds like a Bond villain almost.
And then before that, it was just going to, like, one of my buddies from another rock band on the Strip, he was like, just call it Pussy, man. And I was like, I don't think that's going to work. Yeah. I don't think any of that's going to work. So yeah, it was Harry Muff's, and then that's the only name it really was. And then I changed it to Harry Muff's Disco, because I was like, I want when you look it up, I want me to be the only thing that pops up, and it is. So
well, that's good. Yeah. Make sure you Disco though.
Dude, I think so. The comedy thing, I think when I started, because I'm not comfortable as a lead singer. I am now. I'm starting to be very comfortable with that, but I was not forever. And so when I did my record in 2016, which has still not been released, hilarious. I got a box of CDs in the freaking garage.
Oh my gosh.
I was making my own music, and then I collabed with my producer, Tom Chandler, who produced Bitch the Bitch School tune. But I just I didn't know where to take the project, because I was always a bass player who sang backup vocals. And then I did my thing, and even some of the songs I couldn't even sing and play. And it was just finally about 3 years ago, I was like, dude, just release singles and just play live, get out there, kind of like stand up, scared to do it. Yeah. So I've been doing 2-3 shows a year. I do a thing called karaoke, where I'll do Harry Muff's Disco for an hour with my band, and then I'll host a night of covers where I have Jason Mazilis, Dizzy Reed, people get up on stage, and I'll have like 20 buddies play.
That's awesome.
And yeah, dude. And dude, I'm so like, now I'll sing 10 songs of my own with covers, and then I'll sing like 5-6 covers. And I used to maybe be able to sing like 2 songs a night, and now I can sing 15. And
oh, nice.
I can play crazy, intricate slap bass lines and sing at the same time. And I used to, it's just so cool that you can always, if you put your mind to it, it's such a cliche. You can do things that you didn't think, you can fit roles that you didn't think were your role before.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel good finally at the age of 44, I feel like I can be a frontman. Yeah. Super marketable.
Nice. Yeah. Tell me about it. A 50-year-old podcaster. All right, random question though. Doing all this karaoke stuff and working with Jason and Dizzy, have you worked with Derek Day?
I have not worked with. Yeah, so I was doing.
Love that.
Yeah,
guy.
Oh, Derek's amazing. I don't think Derek knows me. I don't think he knows who I am. He might. He might. I mean, it's funny. So I used to do the Ultimate Jam Night at the Whiskey, which is, it's kind of like people that have played with people. I mean, so let's say the A-listers are Billy Sheehan.
Yeah.
Right. The D-listers are me. Right. So I played a night, and I looked over and I was like, oh, Billy Sheehan's playing tonight. So like sometimes there's like heavy hitters in the house, and then other nights it's people like me, and I've played with Dizzy, so I would get invited to play. And that's when I first saw Derek. That was maybe 4 or 5 years ago now. I saw Derek play, and I was like, who is that kid? That kid is insane. Insane.
He really is. He's trying to figure out a way to get something done for the tap thing too. So he wants to do Lick My Love Pump into something else. I don't know, but it's I hope he does it. He's actually playing a couple of minutes from my house on Friday, so I'm gonna go.
Oh, dude, that's awesome! Hey, let's have a fun game with this. Ask him, hey, do you know who Harry Ostrem is?
I will.
He'll be like, huh?
He's told me a lot about you.
He's told me a lot about you. He's a huge fan of you, Derek.
Well, Derek's actually been on the podcast, so it's we've been chatting back and forth for a couple of years now. Yeah. So,
but it's a small world. So Kevin Capper, the drummer who got me the Dizzy gig, he plays with Derek all the time.
Oh, that's awesome. And I knew Jason has done work with him, and they're actually just doing something a couple of weeks ago. They played something at the Super Bowl. It was like they opened up for like Gwen Stefani's band, which is like
I saw that. It was awesome. I was like, dude. And it's so funny with Jason. So I played bass in Jason's band, Black Belt Karate. Did he not tell you that?
No. Or maybe he did. I haven't edited that podcast yet. So, and I recorded like 6 since then. So
Jason's how I met my wife.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. We were coming back from a gig in San Diego and he was like, hey man, I got to stop and see a girl. And I was like, dude, no, we're not stopping in LA so I can sit in the pickup while you do you know what.
Yeah.
I was like, no. And he's like, it's not like that. She's my friend. I'm like, Jason, you don't have friends that are girls. No, he does. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So so it was Kat's second night in town and I met her second night in LA.
Oh,
and
wow.
that was like in 2013. Jason was a groomsman of my wedding. You know, he's a huge part of my life.
Oh, that's awesome. I love the guy. I'm so glad I got to meet him through this project. He's been so cool.
He's one of the most talented, most brilliant people I've met. And I say that. So, and now that I said that, now we can't get mad at anything I said prior about him. I honestly feel that way. I don't know anybody else who plays every instrument and also put a microphone on Mars. In fact, he's probably the only one. So
I would say so for sure. I don't even know. I mean, this has just been a blast talking with you. So
I just don't know if I've been rambling too much, you know?
You obviously haven't listened to any of my other episodes.
Now I'm an asshole. So. You know what? Hey, I will make you a promise. I will listen tomorrow on my commute to work because I was just listening to John Taylor, Duran Duran's bass player.
Yeah.
I listened to his whole book on Spotify and it was so good. And I was like, I need to do more of this. I need to do more podcasts. I need to do more audiobooks. And I've got a good car now finally, so I can actually like enjoy stuff. And
nice.
Yeah, man, it was so good. So I don't have anything to listen to right now. And I'm like, I don't want radio. I want local radio. So I'll check out some of your shows.
Awesome. Well, we'll chat after this and you tell me who you want to hear and I'll tell you who I've got that's either similar or maybe even that person. So
awesome.
'Cause I've got almost 400 episodes. So
that's amazing. Congrats, man. It's great.
Thank you. Well, I got a chance to go back and listen to a bunch of the stuff and it's amazing because the comedy is great, but the music is just fantastic. A lot of times you'll hear somebody who's a comedian or a musician or tries to incorporate the two together and they do one much better than the other, but you do both so well. I mean, I was listening to, so first of all, Pleasure Dome is freaking great. I mean, the line here, you're trapped in an unrelenting cycle of pleasure. I love that line. I would put that on my tombstone if I could. So Harry Muff Disco is where all this stuff happens. And, you know, you mentioned you're married. What does Kat think about Harry Muff Disco? And was she aware was that a thing before you were married? And was she aware of it before the vows?
That's a great question. So when we met, I was in the middle of my Indiegogo fundraiser. I literally was in the middle of it. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was trying to raise 10 grand. The initial idea was try to get the viral video, try and do a funny video. And if I could go back and do it over, I would have taken that 10 grand that I did earn and I would have stretched it out and made like 10 to 20 videos. Instead, I dumped 7 grand into that Pleasure Dome video.
Wow.
Yeah, way too much money, like huge crew, but it was cool. Like we recorded at Grandmaster Recorders in LA, which used to be Stevie Wonder's personal studio. I thought that was really cool. So a lot of those shots are in rooms that Stevie played in back in the day.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah. And it was cool. It's weird with art and trying to make art commercial and that was always my thing. I'm like, I think of moving to LA as an artist is kind of like entering the Vietnam War. It's like, you don't want to leave until you have achieved the goal.
and then nothing happens and you leave and you call it a wash.
Yeah, I'm the guy on the helicopter hanging, like leaving Saigon, right?
Yeah.
Like hanging from the helicopter. That's me right now at age 44. It's going to be next year. It'll be 20 years I've been here.
Wow.
And I wish I would have done acting right away. I've had more success with acting than I have with music and comedy in terms of money, but in terms of experiences and the bands I've played with. And it's funny, my music, I feel like I'm finally writing the best stuff of my life. I've got 2 new songs I'm working on. One is just, I think it's paying tribute to older bands that I like, but I feel like it is definitely me. I don't feel like it sounds completely derivative, but yeah, a new song kind of sounds like very Duran Duran-y, and then another one kind of has more of like an industrial rock feel to it. It's like a completely different thing. And, yeah, I don't know. Like, and I never used to play guitar. I still suck ass at it, but like now I play guitar on my demos. I've got like, what do I have here? I've got my Strat there. I've got a couple different P basses and I've got my little MIDI keyboard. I do all my drums that way. I do all my synthesizer that way. So I used to just bring Tom a bass line and a vocal idea. And now I send him like 40 tracks and it's like all the drums, a bunch of synth, bunch of keyboards, bass, guitar. And then he, he'll add some stuff. And so, yeah, it's just like I feel like I'm not a producer, but as a songwriter, I'm finally hitting my stride as a solo artist. So yeah, Kat met me at the early stages. I hit a big lull for like 4 years. I didn't know what to do with the project and I wasn't comfortable singing in front of people as a lead singer. And now I am. Like I wish I could like open for Chromeo, there's some really cool bands in Europe. Like there's a band called Frank Moody. I don't know if you know them.
That sounds familiar.
Dude, they're one of those bands you never heard of. And you're like, oh, they've got like, 12 million monthly listeners.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell? But they're like my music. If you listen to Frank Moody, then you listen to some of my tracks. You're like, oh yeah. Harry Muff Disco would be a great. There's a band called Crack and Smack. I think they're from Sweden.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah. It's the same thing. It's a bunch of like nerdy white guys wishing that they were like cool soul brothers from the 70s, and they're great. They're great. Like I would be good opening for them. So that's the goal. I would like to open for some B-listers. And I just love making music, man. I'm going to keep doing it. And I think I could bring more attention to my music by getting more acting roles. So I'm trying to audition for the right TV show. I'm doing lots of acting classes, casting director workshops.
Nice.
I've got, I before the SAG strike, I was auditioning for Netflix shows and HBO shows and didn't book anything, but I've seen my roles on TV a lot. So
do you do writing? Do you write your own stuff as well? Or do you just wait for it to come to you?
I like in terms of like acting.
Yeah. Are you writing your own material, your own scripts, your own shows, movies, treatments?
Yeah, I was working on a pilot about the cover band world because that has not been done well yet. There was a show called Wedding Band that was on like a decade ago, but I have never seen anything that captured what Spokane, Washington was like in 2002.
Okay.
So like just the weird shit that used to happen. Like I remember one time we played a gig at this place called Annie Fanny's. There was like 5 people there and you have to play from 9 to close, Oh. And there's a guy with a fairly attractive woman, like pretty attractive. And he's just got his arms right in front of the band and his arms are around her and he's just grabbing her breasts and pulling her shirt up. So he's basically fondling her breasts in front of the band. So we're seeing everything, her boobs, the nipple. And we're playing Brown Eyed Girl or some bullshit.
Yeah.
And we're watching that. And I was like, oh, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. for about 30 seconds. It went on for like an hour and a half.
Oh my God.
Non-stop. So we're like playing Good Time by Poison. I'm like, it's not a good time. Like, I can't. Like, that's funny, right? That needs to be in a that needs to be in a TV show. I was really trying to push after the music videos, which always end up being way too expensive. I really tried to like do more of this just straight up sketch videos and then incorporate some music. So like there were several I did with my wife when she was pregnant. I don't know if you saw any of those. They're on my YouTube channel. Yeah. And they're what pregnancy symptoms I think is really funny. The other ones are okay, but the male pregnancy symptoms I thought was pretty funny. Yeah. But I mean, it's so hard. Like anybody that I know that is a successful YouTuber or something, like they're literally dumping content. You know, that's their job, and like they're making content every day. I've got a 3-year-old, and also too, and I didn't know if we were going to get into this today or if we had time to, because it's not as fun. It's more boring stuff. But like the name of your show is Performance Anxiety. And I was thinking about that name. That was the only prep I did, was thinking about the name of the show. And I'm like, I was stuck in traffic today and I was like, I don't really get it, man. Like I don't really get performance anxiety. What I get is professional anxiety, you know, like in terms of, when you're an independent artist, you're looking for help. You're looking for ways to make inroads, either better gigs, more social media presence. Maybe your song can get on a TV show, something like that. And it's so hard to almost everything feels like it's not real, you know? And like, I've had multiple times where, you know, you think something's real and you're like, oh, I just paid somebody $500 and nothing came of that. And I would say that's more of my anxiety. It's not on the creative end as much as it is the effort to try and commodify your art. And then that desire often can make you feel like a fool. And so I've kind of, now that I'm 44 and I have my daughter, I'm more kind of like, just do the art, man. Like, just do the art. Like, I'm going to release a couple songs this year. But yeah, I'm going to hopefully do another music video. Cause I shot a national commercial for Bywater 3 weeks ago. So there'll be some money coming in there. Nice. And I've got a pretty decent job right now. So I was like, okay, I could probably do a shoestring budget and do something funny for the cell phone tune. Did you check out the Garbage Island video?
I was going to bring that up because I love that. And I love the song. The song cracks me up. I'm going to keep drinking bottled water. I love it.
No ex-wife, no cell phone, just total isolation. 'Cause I'm free now, out on Garbage Island, living out my dreams. Now, out on Garbage Island, please don't rescue me. I'm alive, out on Garbage Island, trash beneath my...
It's a beautiful premise. It's cracks me up.
So that was the video. So I did that while my wife was pregnant. And that did cause some... She's very supportive. She went to school for acting at Marymount Manhattan College in New York City. She's done Shakespeare festivals. I mean, she is a true actor and supporter of creativity. But when she's pregnant and I'm storing recycling in our living room, that was a little bit like, why did I marry him?
Yeah.
And when will he go away?
Damn you, Achilles.
Yes. Yeah. Damn you, Jason, for bringing this into my life. Dude, all that film editing's me, man. I'm proud of that. I do all that editing. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I did all the props. I hired a guy who I was working with for a while. That video ended it actually. It was a 2-day shoot. Went in. A guy who's done major music videos, like for major people. Is that my wife and daughter? No. Anyway, it was a 3-person crew and I did everything and I did so the second day we shot, I was like, how can we get all the jokes? I mean, we only have like 10% of our material. So that's my daughter. My daughter's going to be on it.
That's fine. I don't care. Yeah. I love kids.
I'm telling Mark about Garbage Island video shoot and how that made you probably question our marriage. She just said, oh, definitely. Straight up.
Not even a hesitation.
No, not even a hesitation.
Oh, yeah,
but I was really happy with that video, man. Like I thought, because the second day of shooting, we had none of the jokes on film. The second 10-hour day, I was like, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this. And we busted it out. That did well in some festivals. I won like 3 awards for that video.
Oh, nice.
Hi, Josie. You want to see Mark? You want to see my friend Mark? You're going to work on something?
Oh,
okay.
Hey.
Okay.
I like her work ethic.
She bounced away like a rabbit.
Yes, great. That's great. See ya. So
do I have my mother listen? That's the question. But who cares, man? Who cares?
My mom listens. I think she says she does, and then she gives me $3 with every episode. So. Because I've got. I
think it'd be great if it's actually like $3 bills that she sends you in the mail, like an allowance.
Yeah, it's got like Obama on it or something, you know.
Supporting the arts.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it had like Adam Curry or Joe Rogan on it. Anyway, so what the hell was I going to say? I don't remember. So
you were going to ask me about Bitch School.
Yeah. The way I was introduced to you was through the project that I'm hopefully wrapping up here. Well, it probably won't be wrapped up till the end of June, but that we will be eventually wrapping up as the Spinal Tap tribute for Teen Cancer America. And Jamie Park was just super kind and suggested you. I don't even remember how it happened. I don't know if she said, hey, I know this guy, he's hilarious, this right up his alley, or if she just said, hey, I'm going to reach out to this guy. Either way, I was like, when she said comedy and music, I'm like, get him in, because that's what this whole thing is about. You know, it's Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to do is thank Jamie Park for introducing us, because I love what you're doing. I love the work you've done already. I can't wait to see what you come up with. But you also chose one of the more controversial Spinal Tap songs, which, believe it or not, one other band chose, but they're out of Shanghai, and so they don't care. So how did you decide to choose the song Bitch School for the Spinal Tap tribute album?
It's probably one of those things where maybe subconsciously I was having a philosophical moment with the tune, but I think I just, honestly, dude, from a musical standpoint, not a lot of Spinal Tap tunes are very funky. And Harry Muff Disco is a funk disco project. There's rock elements because I'm a rock bass player as well. But yeah, like that tune's groovy. Like I've known that song since it came out on the VHS that came out back in the day. Yes. But I could hear the bass line like right away. I was like, ooh. And all the other tunes, I was like, no, I just don't hear like a bass line popping in my head. And everyone's going to do Sex Farm. Everybody. I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, I want to make the album. I don't know how this album's working. I don't know how many big names are on it versus people like me that are smaller independent artists. But I wanted to like just do something that maybe no one else was going to do. And I knew I would put a spin on it that was unique. So that's number one. And then talking to my wife about it, who's, you know, like, yeah, well, like we talked about it earlier about kind of the political sensitivities. Like I'm definitely more on the moderate leftish side, and she's very just more aware of like what it's like to be from a sensitive population because she's a woman. Yeah. So we talked about Bitch School. She said when it came out, she thought it was hilarious because they're making fun of that stuff.
Yeah,
they're making fun of misogynistic, idiot 80s rock guys. Not that all rock guys from the 80s are idiots. That's not what I'm saying at all.
But I'm just saying stereotype.
And some of that stuff that's there is there for a reason. And I think, you know, Michael McKean, Christopher Guest, these are brilliant guys who probably have PhDs too. You know, like they're not doing it. Even back then, I'm sure they were thinking about it through a feminist lens, maybe, because I feel like they're making fun of a lot of that stuff. I mean, it's Spinal Tap. So
I think it was aimed squarely at like Whitesnake.
Yeah. And I feel like people today might look at them and go, look at those and not get it.
Yeah. Because they don't know the reference.
Not get that they're actually, because that was the big music of the day. Right. And they were kind of like jabbing at that. Yeah. So I think ironically, they were like 30 years ahead of their time in that regard. So Tom, my producer, like I said, I do a lot of the recording on my own. I probably did like 75% of that stuff on my own. He brought in the background singers who are amazing singers. And he added some synth stuff. He did the Prince guitar solo at the end. Yeah. That's not me ripping on guitar. That's Tom.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's such a great guitar player. But he was like, why don't we do some dog voices or some barking? Why don't we do a little barking in the beginning and a little barking at the end, so people that maybe don't get the references know that bitch means dog, and just bring that home a little bit. So we added a bunch of dog stuff, and then I thought it was too much, and then we trimmed it back down. So there's one dog bark in the beginning and a couple dog barks at the end, just to kind of make it a joke about dogs. But that other stuff is there. I just don't think people may realize that Spinal Tap, that in my opinion, they were 30, 35 years ahead of their time, and they were making fun of that stuff then. It's not them being misogynistic, it's them poking fun at idiots. So I don't know. That's just how I read it. I guess it's controversial, but I don't think it really should be.
No, it shouldn't be, because it's like you said, it's comedy. It's making fun of that.
But also too, like the lyrics, it's not even just a joke. It's actually, no, I don't think I am. It's Christopher Guest. It's like my heroes. I think they're taking a stand. I think it's actually, you could argue it's a feminist work. I mean, it's stupid. It's them they're putting themselves out as obviously being like cool rock stars could have been unfair towards women under the guise of being cool. They're being idiots about women for everyone to see and laugh at. To me, that's self-humiliation.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying. And and I'm just happy because honestly, it's probably my favorite Spinal Tap song ever. So I wanted somebody to do it so badly. So I'm glad that
it's actually one of the better songs. Like it's cool. Like it's the riff kind of rocks. Like a lot of Spinal Tap stuff too. Like they're very good musicians, but they're not Van Halen, you know, like, and they're not trying to be. It's more about the lyrics, and they're fine players, but that song is pretty rocking. You know, I think that tune's pretty rocking.
It sure is, man.
I mean, I would love to have done Stonehenge. I mean, I love Sex Farm's probably my favorite Spinal Tap tune. I mean, Give Me Some Money. There's so many good songs, but honestly, I want to maybe take this out of the podcast. If the song that I do ends up on a compilation with some of the names that are being discussed being on it, that's a big deal for an independent artist like me. Yeah. And so one of the reasons I did it was I wanted to do a song that no one would do. Are the Spinal Tap guys on board with this?
Yes. They know about it. They endorse it and they love it. I've gotten permission to do it. I've gotten permission to use their logo. So I actually had my logo redone with the Jim, their skeleton's name is Jim. I had his horns put on the microphone, and then performance anxiety in the Spinal Tap script. So I'm not doing t-shirts. It's available if people want to buy it. It's on Threadless.
That's awesome.
I was told early on that they will help promote it. So.
Oh, wow.
It's been a blast doing this. It's been a labor of love because I have put a shit ton of work into this thing.
Sounds like it, man.
And working on it for 2 years. And I'm just ready to get it out, but I got to wait. We're going to try to time it with the sequel. So,
yeah, I told my agent about this project because, I was like, if there's any parts that for the movie that I would fit, like I'm also doing this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Because anytime you can kind of like, if there's an in as they're pitching you, right, for a part, that helps. But he said there was one breakdown for one role, which it wasn't even close to me. So he hasn't seen anything else out. But yeah, we'll see. Never know.
Well, best of luck, man, because they've got some big names attached to it, like Elton John and Paul McCartney. So
yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Oh my God. I mean, I would just love to. I mean, if I could meet Michael McKean, I don't know. I would just be.
what's the best way for people to follow you on social media? Listen to Harry Muff Disco and find out what you're doing acting wise. How do people follow you?
Yeah, I would say the best thing is my website. So Harry Ostrem, which is OSTREM. So just harryostrem.com. I kind of put everything's acting stuff's on there. Music stuff is on there. Harry Muff Disco, HARRY. That's on Spotify, Apple Music. I mean, that's it. Like, I am not a huge social media. I thought maybe we would talk about that later. Like, I just don't like social media. I mean, I think I should be in love with it. I'm just like, I don't. I like to create. It's like every time I'm like more stressed out about trying to get people to like me, that just ties into my insecurities from my childhood. Yeah, I don't know. I understand. Maybe that's why I'm not as big of a deal. I don't know. I love creating, man. So yeah, the website, I'm very proud of it. Got my new acting reel on there. I've got the new commercials are on there. I've got my music videos are on there and links to all my music. So, and gigs, there's like show posters, there's highlight reels of some of my last shows. So, and that'll be the stuff on there.
The first place you put the new music that we've been talking a little bit about.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I'm going to release a couple tunes this year, probably and some of the new songs aren't really comedic. I'm just kind of writing from the heart. If it's funny, great. If it's not, then it's not.
I noticed that. Like, I'm Waiting for You to Be With Me.
Waiting for you to be with me. Yeah. I'm waiting for you to be with. I'm waiting for you to be with me. Oh, wow.
My most recent song. Yeah, it was just a song.
I was curious about that because I'm listening. I'm like, this isn't funny. But it's good. But they don't see comedic like the other ones.
The two newer songs are not funny either. But the cell phone tune that's been on the back burner for 2 years, it's pretty damn funny, and it's rad, man. So I'm gonna hopefully do a video for that this summer. So hopefully that could come out in the fall. There'll be some releases this year.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Well, man, I know I've kept you for a long time, but thank you so much for spending your evening with me and just talking about all kinds of stuff because it's been a blast.
Dude, you've been amazing. Awesome podcast. I'm going to listen to some episodes. I got time in the car.
Awesome.
And yeah, I'd love to just stay in touch.
Yeah,
it'd be great.
You've been bad. Don't do what I say. You don't listen. And you never obey. I try to teach you, but you just won't be good. You won't behave the way